What's up, baseball world? Welcome along to another edition of Jay's Talk with Jay. Today, the court is in session and the jury have joined me. We've got Sheldon, Cole, and Rob from Blue Jay Center, and Jay's in six-man. Zach are with me. How you doing, guys?
Doing pretty good.
Terrible,
Good.
Jay. The sky's falling down.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm on suicide watch.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. I guess we better start with today and just work backwards, really. Not a lot has happened since I was last on with Sheldon in the week. It's another couple of losses. In fact, 3 losses since we spoke. We're on a bit of a slide at the moment. And today was just... I'm lost for words. It's been bad and it's been rough.
Well, you and I spoke, man, when I said that the Jays, to get everyone's attention, would have to go 6-4, 7-3 in these 10 games, and they're 1-5. So I think the attention they're getting is not the attention that they wanted. The bullpen has let the team down, but it was, in all honesty, we were talking about it earlier on the post-game show. It was only a matter of time before this bullpen started to falter. They don't have the quality arms. They have arms, they just don't have the quality arms. And people have been slamming Charlie for his moves, but he just doesn't have the arms to do what he needs to do at the moment. I do feel bad for Charlie in a way, but also Charlie is the manager, and he's got to know when to stay away from the spreadsheet and just manage on the pulse of the game. See what's in front of you. Trust your eyes. And the last few games, I haven't really seen that from Charlie. But June's coming soon. They just got to somehow survive these next 4 games, one with the Rays and 3 with the Yankees, and hopefully take out the Indians.
Yeah, I think that's the macro view of the last 5 games. Yeah, the bullpen has kind of floundered a bit lately, but not just that. It's also we straight up lost these games we choked. Look at the last 3 games, or 3 of the last 4 games. We lost 2 games with 2 outs in the 9th inning, and we had a 2-run lead, or 1-run lead today, 2-run lead against the Red Sox. And the Friday night game, we had so many opportunities to put that game away. We get to Glasgow for the second time, and you don't take advantage and close it out. You're right, Sheldon. The fact that the bullpen is depleted, it's kind of catching up what we thought all along. They pitched so many innings, but it's not just that. It's the fact that they've been so close to winning some really huge games against division rivals, and they just straight up couldn't get it done. A bunch of heartbreakers, man. And for the first time all year, I'm feeling kind of negative on this team right now, unfortunately.
We got to remember, on paper, a healthy bullpen is still a Jays bullpen, at best a C-list bullpen in the major leagues. Like, these guys weren't supposed to post a 2.5 ERA in May or in April. So knowledgeable Jays fans and knowledgeable MLB fans could realize that the Jays bullpen wasn't going to last, especially when you add on a roster list of injuries. And then the other thing that we haven't touched on in the whole 5-game losing streak is, runners in scoring position has always been an issue. And I mean, that's kind of it's not rocket science. If you're not going to knock in runs with guys in scoring position, you're not going to put yourself in to win a lot of ball games. And right now it's showing, and the Jays are feeling it.
Wait, Cole, you said when they're healthy, they're a C-list bullpen? Like
Yeah.
when everyone's healthy, when Phelps is back, when Merriweather's back?
Yeah, we're talking. Remember who these guys were before this year. Before the Jays got them. Remember who these guys were. Like, a Kirby Yates is on the other half of 30. Jordan Romano is kind of just proving himself to be a decent bullpen arm this year. David Phelps, again, same thing, resurgence. And I think that all this credit to all the bullpen, even performing at the level that they have performed at, is all credit to Pete Walker. And I think that he has to be probably a top 5 pitching coach in the whole entire league, because it can't be a coincidence that every no-name guy comes into the Jays roster and puts up good numbers, I think. But yeah, I think on paper, if you look at these guys prior to joining the Jays, they're at best a C-list bullpen.
I mean, Pete Walker should probably be getting paid more than some of the players on this team. Like,
He should definitely get paid more than Charlie Montoyo.
yeah, even some of the players, like,
Yeah.
definitely more than Kirby Yates, especially if he's out. I don't care. I'll pay Pete Walker $20 million. It's not my money, so.
Oh,
Do
go
you
ahead,
guys think
Robert.
that this one was on Montoyo? Because I see a lot of fans, they're mad at Montoyo. I think at the end of the day, when you kind of look at it, Tyler Chatwood's been their best reliever all season long. If he just goes 3 up, 3 down like he has all season long, we're not really having this conversation right now. So
Thank you.
I get the frustration with Montoyo, but at the same time, the fact is that you had your best guy with a 2-run lead in the ninth inning. You should win that game. He should get those 3 outs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not Charlie. Like I said before, Charlie can't go out there and throw a ball into the strike zone. It is his job to pick the guys that are at the best chance of doing that, and that was Chatwood. And even after Chatwood, he went to a guy that literally has one pitch. It is your one job to throw this one pitch in this little quadrant of strikes that you can do, and he couldn't do that.
I
And
think that's the
Charlie.
most annoying thing, though, isn't it? From the whole take, you can kind of ignore them tying the game 4-4, goes to extras or whatever. Then so be it. I think the fact that he went out there and he couldn't throw it anywhere near the strike zone, you kind of have to ask yourself, why was he in for as long as he was anyway? Because it looked like a disaster from the start. From the first batter going up, it looked like this is a problem.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, I don't remember if he's brought in when there was 2 runners on or the bases were loaded, but he would have at least brought in 1 run, or no, he would have brought in at least 2, considering that 3-batter minimum. Like,
yeah, he was brought in when the bases were loaded.
Are we talking about Chatwood or Bergen right now?
Travis Bergen.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was
okay.
brought in when the bases were loaded, and he walked the bases loaded, walked to tie the game, walked the bases loaded to give up the lead, and then walked the bases loaded to give up another one.
See, I know Meadows was a lefty in that situation. That's why we brought Bergen in. But really, I would, if this was Mays' off day, so be it. But I would have rather have brought in Jordan Romano, because I don't think Romano is a fluke pitcher. I think he actually has a lot of potential.
It's one out. It's 1 out. We only needed 1 out. That's what I don't get. You could have brought, like, I know you can't bring Ryu back, but even he just pitched 7 innings. Like, surely that someone can go and get 1 out.
Yeah, well, see, that's the issue with this whole 3-batter minimum, is that he needs. So regardless of how that first at bat went, he needs to stay in there for 2 more batters, and he ended up walking those 2 batters. But the way I wanted to say this is, I mean, I'm sure he's not trying to pitch around the zone, but in this situation, just allow the guys. Here's 90 down the middle. See how far you can hit it. It is the hitter's job, which is already the hardest thing to do in all of sports, is hit a baseball going 90 plus miles an hour. Allow him to show you that he can hit it and get a base hit. I would much rather lose this game because he missed his location down the middle than him walk in 3 runs.
Instead, he only threw goddamn high fastballs. Like,
yes, yeah, I would much rather see a grand slam down the middle than see 3 straight walks.
I'd rather see the Mejia thing all over again than just walk in all these bases.
Zach, if you interrupt Sheldon once more, he's going to throw you out the window. Yeah, I'm just warning you. I'm warning you.
No, it's okay, man. It's all right. So, I mean, if you take a look at that at bat with between Bergen and Meadows, he did throw 2 pitches in the zone, and Meadows could not catch up to it. That should have given both Bergen and Jansen the knowledge that, okay, this dude can't catch up to it, man. He's only throwing 92, 93. He can't catch up to it. Just pump it down the middle. I don't think he's going to hit it. And like what Cole was saying, throw it down the middle. This guy, he probably was not going to hit it. But everything looked like it was up and it was moving around, and it was just not good, man. And the thing about Romano, is Bergen your best pitcher to bring in a situation like that? No, Romano is probably your best bet, and he should have been available.
Yeah, keyword should have been.
Should have been, yeah.
I think there's no way. I just can't put my head around a situation where Romano was legit available for Montoyo and he didn't use him. There's no way Montoyo didn't do that.
He wasn't available today.
We even saw AJ Cole warming up, though. Like, I would rather AJ Cole in that situation than Travis Bergen.
Yeah. I agree. I said this in the chat, and Sheldon, Cole, you both know this. You were there, but Travis Bergen, he throws 92, and that's his only pitch. He doesn't have good command. He has 8 walks in less than 11 innings. I'm just starting to wonder what value are they expecting that he's going to bring, because the stuff isn't great. He's only got one pitch and the command's not there. So my question is, what value does he bring as a pitcher?
That's the only thing he brings to the table right now is the fact that he's a lefty, and that is literally the only reason why they even brought him in. And then they were obviously hoping that he was going to get Meadows out and game over, call it a day. But then realizing that you have a 3-batter minimum, you should probably just go with your best pitcher regardless of a matchup of lefty on lefty.
I'm starting to wonder maybe Romano's arm is taking a little bit longer to recover from his usual outings. For him not to be, because he didn't pitch the day before. He didn't pitch yesterday. He pitched 1 inning the day before, and that was only 12 pitches. Maybe he's not. Something's up.
There had to be something wrong. Yeah.
Well, I actually saw something on the Jays Club Instagram page, and it was Jordan Romano was actually throwing in the bullpen when Bo Bichette was hitting in the bottom of the 9th. So it just, that's so confusing to me. Like,
maybe Charlie thought it was 4-4.
maybe he thought it was the 8th inning.
Okay. Or maybe he thought Bo was going to hit a home run or something to tie. I don't know, man.
Or he was saving him for tomorrow in the hopes of, they're like, oh, this one's in the bag. We got this one. Chatwood's pitching. We're not going to get Romano up, and then at least we can save Romano for tomorrow. And if that was the plan, which I don't think it was, because I think that you don't need to be a big league manager to realize that that's a stupid decision. But if that was the thought process, then it kind of goes back to those times where you'd see Charlie use his high leverage relievers in blowout games. It's completely counterintuitive when you really look at it that way.
Yeah, no, 162 games. I don't care. You don't save guys for the next day. That's just not how it works. Yeah.
It kind of makes a mockery of this whole pitching for numbers, though, doesn't it? Because like if you go back to the old days when you knew who was going to pitch in the 7th, you knew who was going to pitch in the 8th, you knew who was your closer, and you stuck by it regardless. I don't understand why they've all kind of reverted to this statistics nonsense, because it's like Sheldon. It's kind of like you said, like without playing with your gut and actually feeling what's actually going on. I'm convinced if we had someone that was penned in for the 7th, 8th, and 9th, we wouldn't be having this conversation now.
Yeah, it's just. Sorry, you go.
So you're
Zack, I'm going to throw you through the window.
So Jay, you're completely against the closer by committee strategy, is what you're saying?
I just wouldn't do it. Like for decades, they've gone down the road of having someone 7th, 8th, 9th, and it's worked for a lot of teams forever. Like I think that because one team does it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for everyone. Like some people can do maths in their head, some people need to write it down. Like it's just like things are different, and it depends on who you've got as well. The mentality of the players that we have, they probably aren't used to this, whereas the Rays have been doing it for a while, so they can probably think, well, actually we've been around this for a while. They probably do the same thing in their minor league systems where they can go, well, actually we're used to this, it doesn't make no difference. The Jays are looking at it thinking, what the hell's this? I'm used to being a closer, and now you've got me pitching in the 5th inning or the 6th, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's say you are the setup man. You're Dwayne Ward for the World Series Blue Jays teams. You have time to prepare for the hitters you'll have to face. But if it's always just a scramble on who's going where, then who knows? Jordan Romano, he could be preparing for the 7th inning, but then he has to face the top of the order instead of whoever he'd be facing originally.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I think the fact that you have guys that can pitch their strengths, and the other day, this was the whole conversation when Dolis came in and blew the game. But my idea was, don't you want your best pitchers to face the Red Sox best hitters? Because in the 7th inning, it was the heart of the order. At that point, you want Chatwood to go out and face them, right? You want Chatwood to face the heart of the order. He retired them. Romano comes in to face the 4, 5, 6. He retires them. And then Dolis, who's your weakest pitcher of the 3, he goes and faces the bottom of the order. Even though it's the 9th inning, doesn't the matchup play that way? That's why I kind of disagree with the idea that you should have a set guys. I think the matchups is valid.
But they lost. They lost.
I get that.
You disagree, but they lost.
I get that, but wouldn't you want to play the odds? Like, you don't think, okay, if Dolis came into the 7th inning and faced the heart of the order, do you think that he would have gone 3 up, 3 down?
Well, I don't know.
Let's put it this way:
we thought Chatwood would have come in just now and blown them away, and that would have been game over. So
let's put it this way: is if you're taking a look at, if we were going to go with the old style of ending a game 7, 8, 9, who would be your seventh inning pitcher, who would be your eighth inning pitcher, who would be your ninth inning pitcher with what we have right now in the Jays bullpen. Romano would be my number 8, my eighth inning guy, without a doubt.
Agreed.
And then you can have Dolis as your ninth guy if you're comfortable with him. You could have someone else. You could try and mix and match a little bit to fill in the ninth and the seventh.
No, see, this conversation that we're trying to have right now is literally the reason why this is not a good thing. Because as Rob was saying, it should 100%, especially when you're the Jays, when you don't have 3 guys that you can guarantee. If we can't sit here right now and say this is your 7th inning guy, this is your 8th inning guy, this is your 9th inning guy, then we don't deserve to have that conversation. The Jays need to play it by matchups, and I think
I would honestly go with Romano as my 8th inning guy, Chatwood is my 7th inning guy, and Dolis is my 7th inning guy. That would probably be my closer because he's probably got the most experience out of the group, and he doesn't have as good as stuff as Romano, but he's definitely got better stuff than Dolis. And then I would fill in everywhere else, like the 6th inning. If you could do matchups, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but as Cole was saying, like there's not one guy in this bullpen that has had a lot of experience being a closer full time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like there's an obvious answer, which is why I think the matchups is kind of the way to go to.
Yeah, not to mention that just because the Jays lose a game in the 9th inning doesn't mean they couldn't have lost it in that 7th inning.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
If you put Dolis in that 7th inning, he gets rocked. Then the end of the game, we're having a conversation about, oh, the Jays went to Dolis in the 7th inning against the best guys. Why did we do that? And it's like, who knows why we did that? Yeah, because the matchup wise, that didn't make any sense to do that.
I hear what you guys are saying. You guys are going with the matchups. What I'm saying is, if you got to think about the psychology of the game. If you see you have your 3, you're losing. Like say the Rays were losing the 6 or whatever, and shoot 7, 8, 9. We know who we're gonna face, and yeah, you could do all the study, look at all the tapes, you could look at all those things. But you still got to go out there and hit, and we all agree hitting is probably the hardest thing to do in baseball.
Sports.
Yeah, exactly. In all sports, exactly.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that Charlie should definitely go to definitive roles. But right now, locate who your 3 best are just until you get Merriweather, Phelps, or Ricky come back. And I think when you get those 3 coming back, then you can go back to how you play the percentages, your matchups, and everything else. But right now, you don't have that. Also, and this is going to be actually counterproductive to what I was been saying, I don't even know if these guys can go 2 or 3 games in a row pitching.
Well, that's what I was going to say off of that point. It's the fact that sure, we start this season with 7th inning guy, 8th inning guy, 9th inning guy. What do you do when one of those guys can't perform in their inning? Would you now have to move them an inning, or you have to not play them at all? And on the other side of things, we are getting to an age where pitchers can't go 2 days in a row. Like that's just a fact, and unfortunately, that's why there's like 75 guys you have to have in your availability for your bullpen in a 162 game season. And the Jays are probably at number 50 right now. And that's why you can't do this. It needs to be purely matchup based. It needs to be who we didn't pitch yesterday. And just some days it doesn't work out. And for the Jays right now, it hasn't been working out. And I think that is the end result. I don't think, unless you're the Yankees where you have 3 guys where you can definitely say that, yeah, we can go with this guy every single day. And it's like,
I think we should change this to the Yankees chat because I think we would be happier. So I'm going to find my Yankees hat.
We've talked about this already, Sheldon. We don't want to put this isn't Yankees talk with Yank.
All I'm going to say is that this conversation would go a lot smoother if Phelps and Merriweather were healthy right now.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, not to mention the Jays closer, the Jays guy that we did pick for the 9th inning, Kirby Yates, hasn't touched the field yet.
But according to you two, he wouldn't pitch in the 9th. He'd pitch in the 5th, 6th, the 3rd when Stripling's
pitching.
Exactly.
No.
They would have put him in the 3rd inning.
Depends what matchup you get, Jay.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I said, unless you have a guy that can be a guy in the 9th inning, then you don't. He was a guy. And, yeah, Kirby Yates is definitely a guy for the 9th inning.
Yeah, no.
Zack, say something, buddy. before we take you and throw you out the window for not saying something. Say something.
Okay, so I
Stop calling you
actually.
Adam.
Okay, I kind of think the matchups, it's still something you have to consider. With the 3 batter minimum, I think all of that has changed. So I think every team should have a set in stone closer. I mean, setup men, that's not really something you'll find nowadays, just because, I mean, I don't know, to be honest. It's just not a thing anymore. But like, you have to have that lockdown guy that you can trust. You can't be having this jeopardy every game that like, oh, who's going to close the game tonight? You have to have that set in stone guy. So you can then use your other relievers at other points in the game. You know, when Stripling's pitching, we're going to need a lot of relievers. We can't be using our closer in the 4th inning.
Take a look at the Yankees' success. They got Chapman as your closer. They know he's the closer. They know he's coming out. And then you got Louisiana and Green and King, and they're kind of defined a little bit in their roles. I'm not saying they don't actually go out of it, but it's working for them. And King and these other guys are not. They're kind of like our Jays pitchers. They're not really big names other than Chapman. And yeah, Kirby Yates would have been amazing. You probably would have. I think Kirby Yates would have been the perfect person as a 9th inning. And I think we may have seen Charlie go into a little more of a structured of an 8 type of thing. But yeah, this game's pretty much brought out all this conversation about our bullpen and who we need to toss, and poor Virgin is a piece of garbage. And Chatwood wanted to kill people, and Rob's looking at Zack like he wants to throw him out the window for some odd reason. Cole is angry.
Here's what I want to say, though. I want to just jump in here a bit. I don't think the problem with this bullpen necessarily is that they're being misused in terms of what position they should be put in, what inning they should be put in. I think the bigger conversation is that they've pitched so many innings where everyone's just tired right now, because we did this whole closer by committee thing, this whole matchup thing throughout the whole month of April when they had the best bullpen in the entire league and no one batted an eye about it. But now all of a sudden they're underperforming and now we start questioning it. I think the biggest reason why we're in this situation is that we've got no innings from our starters, and now all our bullpen arms are just ran out of gas, and now they're struggling, and now we have to have this conversation.
Yeah,
well, I think the starters have been actually going 6 and 7, so it's
only
recently.
3 starters. Okay, then you're Stripling in a bullpen day. That just
yeah.
And
but
I want to bring this back to my original point being, these guys aren't supposed to be in the bullpen. These guys aren't supposed to be pitching in the major leagues. Half of these guys are at best minor leaguers, and that obviously will come to
right
be an
now.
issue.
Sure, but I don't agree that like they're all minor leaguers, because don't forget some of these guys that they have, like Anthony Castro, the way he's pitched so far, that's not, he could be a reliable big league option. Chatwood has been good. Romano's been good. So like I think that they do have the ammo. It's just that they've just had such a huge workload where they've become less effective.
Is it a case? Is it a case that some of them are just having their off day, and it seems to be one falling after the other? So it's like Castro one day, then Dolis another.
Then you had Meza with that rough stretch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Like maybe it's just a bad. They're all sort of having bad games, and it's kind of falling, and that's why it'd be better that they all had a bad game at the same time, and we lost 10-0. And get it out of the system, but it doesn't seem to be. We're not getting any luck at the moment either. That's something that I feel is we're not getting really close calls in the strike zone. We're not getting them. And I said to Sheldon earlier that it seems like Tampa Bay, there's an element of luck in their play as well. It's not all just going by the book. There are some plays that they do, and 9 times out of 10 they probably won't come off. But they're lucky they're playing against us, and they seem to always have luck against us.
Good Lord, the way Bergen was pitching, and considering how the Rays pitched in the 9th, Bergen would have been out of that inning no problem. Like, that 9th inning alone, that kind of just pissed me off, because 4 of those calls were not really good. Those were out of the strike zone.
I think you are right. The fact that everyone's kind of having their rough days, they're depreciating as pitchers, that's very valid. I think it all kind of strings to the initial point, the macro point, that they've pitched so many innings early on where they've just become all in all less effective.
So enough about the pitching. I don't want to dwell too much on the whole like blame Charlie thing, because for me I think it's all pointless. We all know that a lot of it is to do with the analytics and the folder, and we kind of We kind of know where that is. What I will say though, I would like to see him be a bit more animated. Like this whole going to sit down when the game goes to 4-4 and he goes to sit down. Like I'd be out there shouting. Like I come from a sporting background where I watched a hell of a lot of football. I'm not going to call it soccer. I refuse to call it soccer. Where when things aren't going right, the coaches and the managers are up there and they give it to the players. And all right, sometimes people don't react well to that, but there has to be some kind of emotion, like the whole going to sit down, I don't know, open up a chocolate bar, drink a cup of tea. Like for me, it doesn't work for me. It's too, for me, it seems too relaxed.
He's too soft on the players. Like he's like, he doesn't get angry at them, but he doesn't necessarily motivate them either. He's just kind of there for them. So.
I don't want the angry. I think getting angry with them is counterproductive. But the motivation for me, I think that it's got to come from somewhere. A lot of these guys are young kids, man.
But the point is, he doesn't motivate. He doesn't really motivate either. It's just kind of, he's just there, making the decisions.
Unless one of us has access to the clubhouse, I'd prefer if we moved on from this conversation.
Yeah, obviously it's hard as well. Obviously now it's even harder because they're wearing masks and stuff, and you don't know if he's saying anything or not. So kind of for me, that's the only thing that I kind of wanted to say, because I don't blame Charlie for the loss. I question not keeping Chatwood in just to get that one last out, because obviously we've seen what Bergen did when he came in. Chatwood wouldn't have done any worse. And if the guy hits a grand slam because he's put one down the middle, so be it. Like, who cares, right? These things happen.
Yeah, and I think we can all slightly agree that Charlie Montoya probably won't be the manager come a Jays World Series.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm not sure. That's a big call. Welcome to Jays Talk with J. Cole.
I don't think he's not. I like Charlie, but I don't think he's a World Series manager.
I think he'd be a great bench coach. I don't think demotion is something you do in baseball, but man, I would love to see Charlie as the bench coach.
Yeah, bring in an experienced guy. Yeah,
just not Tony La Russa or any of those boomers.
Oh no, he doesn't deserve to be managing right now.
Yeah.
So let's just say Charlie's the one that they decide, nope, he's not going to be the guy. Who do you think could be the gue? Because
external or internal?
No, external.
It'd have to be external.
Cito.
Cito ain't coming back. Cito's on that. He rode off into the sunset, man. He said, screw this. These young guys are just all miserable and they do their own thing. And he went off into the sunset with his little horse.
I'd like to see Russell Martin. That's just me.
I think that
if I'm being honest, if I'm being honest, I feel like manager has such little impact on a baseball team in 2021, where if the Blue Jays win a World Series, whether it's, hopefully this year, which probably not realistic, but in the next coming years, I don't think it's going to be because of the manager, whoever's managing. I don't think that a manager will increase or decrease the team ceiling any more than the next guy.
Yeah, when the Nationals won the World Series, it was Davey Martinez. He had nothing to do with it. Nothing at all.
No, they
Hold on. Whoa.
Here we go. Cole versus Zack. Cole versus Zack. Here we go.
Davey Martinez. We're going to disrespect Davey Martinez.
Okay, I like him, he doesn't make the best calls. He sticks up for his players, I'll tell you that much. He's almost had 2 heart attacks over his team. Trey Turner specifically. I don't know.
This conversation's taking a wild turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had to go to the Washington Nationals. The Washington Nationals started that year 19-31. You cannot tell me that just a regular clubhouse can come back from 19-31 and beat the best teams in the league.
Well, no. I just don't think he had that big of a part in it. Like, he had a share in it, but I don't know. He's not even the best man.
Stick to your guns, Zack. Stick to your guns. That's what I like.
So we think that Charlie Montoya can bring this team to a World Series.
Not really.
I'm saying they won't win or lose the World Series because of Charlie Montoya, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the way the management structure is now in baseball, it's usually the front office and the upper levels that here's the playbook, follow it according to our analytics department. So I can see what Rob is saying. With that, unless they get someone in who says, okay, here's the keys, you go and make your decisions. We'll sit in the back and see what happens. But I don't see any front office giving total control to a manager.
You guys would know this better than me because I like I've said before, I'm a Jays fan. I don't follow the other teams. Not like Sheldon, he's got like 12 different teams he follows. But
God, I follow every team, man.
But do all the teams do exactly the same thing? Are they all following this analytics nonsense now? Or is there anyone out there that's kind of doing like still kind of following the old school style and just going like, well, he's my best player.
White Sox.
Cleveland too, probably. I think Cleveland and the White Sox are kind of the only rare cases. I think that there are still some old school managers, Francona being one for Cleveland. Joe Madden's another good point. But I think for the most part in 2021, almost every team, they're kind of following the handbook.
I mean, the Dodgers too. You know, Kenley isn't even that good anymore, and he's still always out there in the ninth. Anytime I ever see the Dodgers winning, it's Kenley getting the save. Like,
perhaps, yeah. I mean, Dave Roberts is one of the older managers, but like I said, for the most part, most teams, they're not going gut feeling anymore.
Probably 5 teams actually just have an actual closer and stuff. Like,
exactly, a handbook. Yeah, sorry, a handful.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers. I think with Roberts, I think he's kind of loyal to Kenley Jansen, and he also knows that I'm not going to put Jansen in the 7th or 8th when I have the 3, 4, 5 hitters coming up. I would put Blake Treinen and whoever else they got, Gratterall. I know he's been hurt, but those are probably your better arms. How
about Corey Knebel or whatever his name is? That guy is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that with Jansen, it's a little bit more about loyalty with him. But Rob said it's just a handful of teams that don't go by the book. Yes, the White Sox are one. Obviously, Tony La Russa, he's not going to change his style because he's right all the time.
Yeah, but he's not going to have a job after this year, so I don't think we should use
him. You have any job right now.
Yeah.
God, I don't think I'd hire him if I was the McDonald's manager. I don't know if I want him to even be in the
Did you see what he said about the extra innings rule, about how he didn't know there was a thing until like the White Sox played in extra innings and they actually had to play with a guy on second base? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, he probably
what?
He was probably driving asleep. He was probably driving asleep when the rule changed.
Yeah, he said that he had no idea about the extra innings rule until like the game itself, and when it happened in real time, which I find that's insane.
But he has a bench. He should have a bench coach that could tell him that, hey, this is what's going on right now.
Somebody should have known, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to just assume that he would know. I mean, you're the manager of a baseball team, the Major League Baseball. You should kind of know the rules. Mm-hmm. I would hope.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know how he made it into the year, considering he got hired and then got charged with a DUI, and then they're like, "Yeah, okay, well, we'll keep you."
Guys, I want to move on a bit. On the offensive side, I think we're probably all agree that 1 to 5, Simeon, Bo, Vladdy, Teoscar, Randall, they've been stellar so far. We can't argue that about any of them. They've all kind of pitched in. They've all done what's needed. Some more so. Are we starting to get concerned now, though, that the rest of the lineup just isn't really contributing enough to actually give us the support runs so that it takes the pressure off the pitchers? Because obviously we've battered the pitchers for 40 minutes, whether it's starting pitchers not going far enough or the bullpen blowing games. Like, are we at a point now where we need Springer to be in there to drop them all down one so that the lineup becomes expanded, and then we need one of the last 3 to kind of up their game? Because for me, the game against the Rays, I can't even remember how many we scored. Friday. Like, we just like nothing at all, and that's not the first time we've seen that this season.
Can I give my take on this first?
Go on.
Go for
it. What is yours, young man?
Okay. I know we were praising Charlie Montoya, the Lord and Savior, but I actually do not like his decisions with the lineup. First of all, if you see Bijan's numbers out of the leadoff spot, they're incredible. Like, for across his whole career, even this year. But he's probably been at the leadoff spot 4 times, maybe. So that's one thing. Another thing, I actually think Bo should maybe be moved down. And I know that might sound crazy, but Bo Bichette, he only swings for the fences, and he kind of reminds me of the 2018 Blue Jays. Just a lot of home run swings and just a lot of flyouts. So I honestly think Bo Bichette would be a better, maybe even cleanup hitter. Also, I feel like I don't think the Simeon at leadoff stuff will last. I don't think he is a good leadoff hitter. I'd rather see him in the 3, 4, 5, or even 6 spot. And his bunting with the 3 strikes thing, that's just kind of awful. Like, Vaspinall wasn't bunting on 2 strikes there on Friday. I think we very well would have won that game.
I don't get why you'd have Biggio hitting ahead of Simeon, especially with the way Simeon's been hitting and the way Biggio has not been. I do agree that Biggio shouldn't be hitting in the middle of the order. It's either leadoff or hitting at 9th, in my opinion. But the fact that Simeon has played so well in the leadoff spot, and the way, like I said, Biggio has not been, I don't think you should be hitting ahead of those guys. Because don't forget, leadoff hitter, you get the most at bats over the course of the season. And the fact that Springer, at one point, we hope he's going to be back and hitting leadoff. I'm not sure I completely agree with that. So I'm okay with him hitting late in the order, hopefully as late as possible, 9th preferably. And as for the last point, yeah, the bunting, is it just me, or do I just not watch enough baseball? But are we the only team who makes getting a bunt down look like quantum physics? Because I don't get what's going on.
It is all 30 teams in the majors probably minus. Sorry, let's go 29 because we're gonna minus the Rays. I think the Rays actually go to practice some days and actually practice bunting, but all of the rest of the 29 teams, they don't do it. And as for the lineup, unfortunately, Zach, I think with a Springer healthy, people would agree with you that Semien wouldn't be hitting leadoff. But for right now, just because of his numbers, it kind of defaults him to the leadoff spot. And the only other spot for Biggio, unless he can get his back going again, is the 9 hole. Is the second leadoff guy. And not to mention 2021, we've moved to a new way of leadoff hitters. They're not necessarily guys that go up there to take pitches and get the game started. They're kind of guys that just post good numbers. And Semien right now is posting good numbers, regardless of if he's a prototypical leadoff man.
Can I explain myself? So maybe I sound a bit more logical.
Yes.
I'm totally fine with Biggio being in the 9 spot. But if you look at Biggio's numbers at the leadoff spot, I know he hasn't been good this year, but the times he was in the leadoff spot, he was doing good. And it's not just drawing walks. It's like his slugging percentage is up there too. But like Biggio 9 is perfect. But like for Semien, unless Springer, like once Springer gets back, I don't think Biggio or Semien should be leading off. But
no, they won't be.
Yeah, you have to save Semien's power, because I think he might have top 3 most power on the team. That's a hot take, obviously, but you go.
I think we've seen that once Springer does come back, Semien will move down to that 6th hole where he has been posting good numbers there as well. That's what got him back to that leadoff spot, because he was crap to start the year at the leadoff spot. Jays moved him down to 6. He got super hot. Biggio started to suck in the leadoff spots, and they moved him back to number 1. And then it's been like this since then. And when Springer does come back, it's not a question. Springer has claimed that number 1 hole, regardless if this guy's out for the next 4 months. And Semien will be moved down, and then the Jays lineup will be. I don't think we'll be having discussions about issues with the Jays lineup going later in the year.
Yeah,
and also the conversation's kind of moot now that Biggio's hurt. Like we might actually get Springer back before we get Biggio back, so it might not matter in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Sheldon, you're very quiet, which is unusual.
I mean, there's not much you can do with this lineup right now. They don't have, other than the top 5 hitters, you got to kind of mix and match. I like Santiago Espinal. I like his at bats, other than the bunting attempt. Everything else is like he's a gamer. He battles, and I like that in the lineup. I would probably put him 8th or 9th at the moment. Rowdy, you guys, ride with Rowdy, see if he can get himself out of this slump that he's been, like a season-long slump, and see what he can, if he does anything. If not, then when Springer comes back, the choice is very easy. One of those outfielders is going to be your DH. Chances there might be Teoscar.
Better be Teoscar.
Yeah, and that answers that question with the DH and having 4 outfielders. One of them is going to be your DH, and then catcher.
Yeah.
Jansen.
Catcher's not supposed to bring the offensive numbers. Like the fact that the Jays have 2 catchers that don't post good numbers is not out of the ordinary. Like that just happens. It's just you hope that you have a roster that can have 8 other guys that do the job for you.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, though, because we're talking about the offense. And we mentioned the top 5 guys, top 5 hitters, you're okay with them. You're okay with the way they're playing. That's cool. The whole catcher deal. It's been like this whole season. You're going to get Jansen, and then when Kirk is healthy, he's going to be there. But you kind of know what the catching situation is going to be like. The real elephant in the room is Lourdes Gurriel. He's just not playing well this year.
Thank you. Somebody said it.
Yes. And if he was performing to his capabilities, this lineup would be very tough to pitch to, because all of a sudden now you have 5 guys who are playing well. Springer coming back. The catching situation is what it is. But he's the guy that's really dropped off his production, and that's kind of what's anchoring this lineup and bringing it down. We're seeing a whole lot of Jonathan Davis, a whole lot of Santiago Espinal. And if Lourdes was just playing the way he had been for the last year and a bit, then I think all of a sudden the whole lineup wouldn't quite look as weak as it does near the bottom of the order.
Yeah, I just want to say this. His power might have fallen off, but he is I think it's 12 for 30 or 12 for 29 in the last 29 at bats. So his average is starting to peak up, and I think with average and the move honestly to Buffalo, he should start to see a turnaround. But I agree. So far in this year, he's been a disappointment. Yeah,
he's already escaping a slump though. In the last week and a half or so, I've noticed he's been playing a lot better. He's always going to have that mammoth of an arm. He is slow in the first half, and I know we did have to send him down in 2019 because his first half was so slow. But I don't think that's really the move right now. I think you just gotta let him play it out for the next couple weeks. And if he goes back into a slump, totally send him down.
Well, yeah, and he's better. He's better than the other guys that we have options for. So yeah.
No.
Gurriel sort of
I'm saying that Gurriel's your guy. He's playing no matter what. Jonathan Davis is a great bench player, but he's shown me no ability that he can be a consistent, everyday, big league caliber hitter. Lourdes Gurriel is the best option they have right now. I'm just saying the reason why it looks so thin is because he's not playing as great as he was previously.
100%.
You have to remember too, right now in the last week, Lourdes Gurriel has actually been playing a lot better than Randall Grichuk, because Randall's numbers to start the season, that kind of just sugarcoats how he's doing right now, because he's kind of been in a slump. I know he hit that home run today, but that's just kind of.
No, I still have issues with Grichuk. He still swings a lot of pitches outside the zone, and I'm talking pitches that shouldn't even be looked at, like pitches that should be easy takes. He's still striking out on, and that's what I have an issue with. But when you hit a 2-run jack to put your team up in the lead in the last 3 innings, I can't complain.
I like Grichuk overall. I know that the hot streaks are really fun, and the cold streaks are obviously very frustrating. You might want to tear your hair out for those of us who have hair.
What was that?
Shots fired.
Moving on.
Shots fired.
Rob, you have enough hair to tear out for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. You tear out your own hair.
Yeah, Rob and I could tear out for the whole Blue Jays.
And you too.
Crew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, he's still a guy who can hit 25 to 30 homers. He'll play solid defense. He'll have an OPS, close to 800. So to me, I've gotten to the point with Grichuk where if he's your 6-7 hitter, you take the slumps for what they are, because in the macro sense, he'll give you a productive year on both sides of the ball.
So go on. Am I right in thinking then that you all kind of think that we're okay as long as Lourdes starts hitting on a regular basis and we get Springer back? Bearing in mind, I think it was Thursday when they said that Springer's not close to coming back. I think it was Thursday they said that. Do we actually know what's happening with him, and are we ever going to see him again this season? I'm being serious, because it seems to be something that he had fatigue, And now, like, that was how many weeks ago?
Yeah.
God, like who knows when he's gonna be back? It's kind of like the Jed Lowry New York Mets situation. Like,
I personally think that the Jays' philosophy right now is the fact that they are good. I mean, let's forget about the 5-game losing streak, but the Jays are fine right now. And the only priority I think for them is do good in August and September, do good in July, August, September, and make sure that Springer's 100% come the end of June. Like, I think that that's more important than bringing him back right now to win a couple games in May.
The one issue that I do have with the lineup is third base. I think that I made this point. I can't remember where exactly. Probably one of the post-game shows, but the fact that Bo Bichette's going to be your shortstop for the remainder of the year, and his defensive struggles are well broadcasted. Everyone knows the story. We don't have to beat the same old dead horse. But the fact that you do have right now currently an inferior defender at short in Bo Bichette, you need that third base defense to be better than average, because you can't have two subpar defenders on the left side. So I think getting a third baseman at the deadline should be a need if you're going to continue to have Bo playing for the rest of this season. But other than that, I think for the most part, if your lineup's healthy, you roll with what you got.
bring back Donaldson, please.
I think that I'm all about that as long as he can stay healthy. But I think besides, like, obviously, if we're looking from an offensive standpoint and defensive standpoint, then your third base is your biggest hole, even if Jansen's batting below 200 and Kirk is still injured. But from the Jays standpoint, from an overall, like, long term, you want to win a World Series, it's got to be a rotation guy.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to get a starter regardless. Like, to me, I've completely overlooked that. Like, they are going to get a starting pitcher no matter what.
that's how much of a priority it is. Yeah.
At least one. I've completely ignored that because I think that's a given. To me, I'm saying in addition to that, you got to get a third baseman too.
Oh, then yeah, completely. Yeah.
So do you think that they go for one pitcher or they go for two and they keep Manoah down?
Oh, Manoah's coming up. Manoah will be up. Whether it's next week, whether it's in a month from now, he's pitching this season 100%.
Yeah.
Like I said on the last post game show, I wouldn't be surprised if he's up here the next time for the rotation. Really, I think we're one terrible Ross Stripling outing tomorrow against the Rays and one dominant Manoah outing away from him having a legitimate chance of him making the next start up here. That's how. It's just my opinion.
Hypothetically, then, let's say Stripling throws 7 innings tomorrow and we win 1-0. Just saying. Yeah. He comes up still or he stays down, because that's the kind of feeling that I'm getting at the moment. It's like it's all on whether Stripling pitches well or pitches bad, but he pitched bad. He was shocking. Yep. He was so bad, like I had to turn it off. Like I couldn't watch anymore. So I'm at that point now where is Manoah's not the answer. I know Manoah on his own is not the answer, but my point is, because he's so young and because he doesn't have the experience against major league offenses, do you not think that it might be a better shout if they actually are going to make a serious push this year to get 2 guys that come?
In my opinion, I think no matter what, Stripling should be moved to the bullpen because, as Cole said, we have some nobodies in there like Jeremy Beasley, and I'd rather watch Stripling pitch 1 inning than Beasley, of course. Who wouldn't? And then,
he doesn't like Beasley, does he? That's the second time you said that on this show, man.
You have two open spots. You have Zoik, you have Pearson, and you have Hatch, who Charlie is obviously wants in the rotation. So I think we should go out and get starting pitching, maybe a rental like John Gray, because we don't really have to bring him back, considering Pearson and Hatch, they're not going anywhere at the deadline. Like, the odds of them being traded are so slim. So I think we should rely on the rentals, maybe even a Max Scherzer, and then just move all of the young guys to the bullpen for this year and potentially make a push.
Yeah, that's obviously, I think the best option. You don't go and get 2 guys to finish out your rotation if that means you're giving up one of your young guys. And I think that that's the Jays mindset. I hope that's the Jays mindset. But if you cannot get those two guys to finish your rotation, then I think that 100% Hatch and Manoah are rounding out the 5 guys in our rotation.
I literally forgot about Manoah.
Jay, you asked the question a few minutes ago about whether they're going to decide to bring Manoah up, when that's going to be the case. To me, they made that decision at the beginning of spring training at the beginning of the season when they started him in AAA. AA is a development league. AAA is a polishing up league. The fact that he started the season in AAA, that tells you all you need to know, that they're polishing him up, ready for him to make an impact this season as soon as possible. And right now, they're just waiting on the right time to bring him up. I think it's a waiting game at this point.
I'll be honest, but from what I saw in spring training, I thought he was going to make the rotation. I don't know why. From what I saw, I thought they're going to go with this guy. Like, he was lights out. Like, and he's kind of been lights out in AAA anyway. So for me, I'm not worried about him coming up. I just wonder whether they're maybe too scared to do it. Like, there's obviously issues with Pearson, and they're probably thinking, oh, we did it last year, we brought him up, it hasn't worked out. Maybe they don't want to repeat history. That's the only reason why I'm kind of going down them lines, just because, again, we've not really had much luck, have we? Not really.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But I think if that was really what they were thinking, they would have just started in AA and been with it. Because don't forget, he didn't pitch at all last year. There wasn't a minor league season. He was drafted in 2019, so he only had a handful of starts at the professional level. So no one would have batted an eye if he started in AA. Like, no one would have questioned, oh, what's going on? The fact that, again, they started him in AAA, I think they think that he was ready to contribute right away.
Yeah, and the other point is that the Jays don't have better options. That's I think the biggest point in all of this is that Manoah, right now, just based off of potential and upside and what we have seen from the 4 or 5 guys, unless Stripling literally goes out tomorrow and throws a no-hitter, then I think we are his next start away from Manoah coming up, because Manoah, as of right now, from our hopeful standpoint, he will be a better pitcher than Ross Stripling.
I agree.
Yeah.
But can I just stop you 1 second? If that's the case, why is he not pitching tomorrow?
Because I think he's only had 3 starts in AAA right now, and Stripling, from what I heard on the broadcast today, there was a lot of focus after his last rough start to change something in his delivery or make a mechanical change, and they want to at least see that mechanical change out for 1 more start before they make a decision like bringing up a guy that hasn't pitched in the majors yet.
Okay, and Ross Stripling has done it. A perfect game.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Even if Stripling does pitch that perfect game that Zack is so enthusiastic about, it's his last start. Alex Manoah's coming up. I think they might be trying to preserve Alex Manoah from going up against the Yankees or the Rays or someone that's like a heavy competitive team. They may want him to go up against what they may classify as a weaker opponent to kind of break him in. We all were very critical of Pearson going up against the Astros, and the Astros ate him alive. And maybe they don't want to do that again with Manoah. So that could be it.
Yeah, he won't see the Yankees. There's no way.
No, he's not.
So he pitches Friday against Cleveland, then possibly.
I think.
Yeah, Cleveland's decimated right now. Reyes pulled something in his back yesterday, trying to hit a 900-foot home run, and didn't work out too well. So the Indians are offensively speaking, they're not the Yankees. They don't fight like the Rays. They're not the Red Sox. So I think we may see Manoah against the Indians.
You have Jose Ramirez. And that's it.
Jose Ramirez is getting traded to the Dodgers.
By the way, my favorite player in baseball. Hope the Jays trade for him in that third base hole.
That would be beautiful, but it would cost a lot, I think.
That's the dream scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd give Austin Martin and Andros just for Ramirez, but that's biased, of course.
You trade them both for Ramirez? I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
This guy's control is incredible. Like $10 million for the next 3 years or so. Like, my God.
It's great, but I mean, you really want to liquidate your 2 best assets? I'm not sure about that.
Empty at the farm. I don't want.
If the Jays were sitting right now with 5 guys that could go 6 innings, and they had a bullpen that was at least decent enough to have a 7, 8, 9 guy, and this looked like the year, then I would agree with you, Zach. But the fact that this isn't the year and that Martin and
I was obviously kidding. I wouldn't even trade Martin for Ramirez. That's not worth it for us.
But I do agree that the ideal situation, Ramirez being a switch hitting third baseman that hits jacks, I think that he's obviously the leading option if that was actually an option.
I'm curious to know if I know we talked about Jose Barrios in another show. I don't think he's ever getting traded from Minnesota. I think he's a young, controllable arm, and I think the Twins want to keep him. And their window hasn't closed, despite what's going on with him this year. Jose Ramirez.
They'd be silly to trade him.
Yeah.
How many years does he have?
I think he's got 2 more years, I believe.
After this one.
Yeah. Jose Ramirez, I know we're kind of joking about it, but if the Indians start to drop off and they start to think that, hey, maybe we're not going to do anything this year, and they got a lot of young players too, is it conceivable that maybe Shatkins or Shapiro might call in and say, hey, we gave you Donaldson for Merriweather a few years ago. You want to kind of cough up Ramirez, and we'll make it kind of easy and give you Groshans and
Stripling.
And we'll throw in Stripling too.
Here's the thing, though. Cleveland is ahead of us in the standings.
Yeah, but they're beating up the Twins and garbage teams. We've had a bet.
They're playing all the bad teams in the
exactly.
AL Central. I'm not going to say the Twins are bad, but right now they're off.
But it doesn't matter though, and no one's going to give us a consolation prize for playing good teams though. the standings are what they are. We're under them right now. So
well, how about Kenta Maeda as a starter? Would that be something?
At this point, given our starting rotation with the way it looks, anyone that's capable of giving 5 innings on non-Ross Stripling performance,
I can give you 5 innings. I can give you 5 innings, man.
Even with a bad shoulder.
I can give you 5 innings. I can still top off at 80, 82, man. I can give you 5 innings.
It's not that far off from Stripling, if we're being honest.
Guys, I'm going to try and wrap this up quickly, but a couple of things. First of all, predictions for tomorrow.
Who's on the mound for the Rays?
Doesn't matter. Stripling's pitching for us.
Yarbrough pitching. He always shuts us down. Stripling, I have no faith. I think he knows his time is up as a starter. The way we've been playing it's hard for me to fathom a win, but it is baseball. Anything can happen. But I'm gonna go the Rays sweep us. Unfortunately.
Wow.
I don't have the guts.
Probably for me, like 5-2.
5-2 Rays.
Yeah, of course. I'm not going to pick Stripling at any time.
Only 5?
Well, I'm assuming Stripling is going to be. He's going to give up 5 consecutive runs.
Is it 5-inning games, Zach? Is that what we're only
no.
5 runs?
So I think he starts the game, doesn't get any outs, gives up 5 runs, gets shelled. He gets pulled in the first inning, giving up 5 runs. There now
I'm just glad I don't have to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch that.
Yeah, Jace, just like you shouldn't watch the game tomorrow.
Here's my question: If Stripling gets shelled tomorrow, do we even bring him to Buffalo? Or should we just leave him behind in Florida?
I mean, I actually last deadline, the trade deadline, I remember we acquired VR and Ray, and a lot of people were excited about that. But I was actually really excited for Ross Stripling because I was high on Ross Stripling, but they decided that he had to be a starter. So I don't know. That really diminishes his value. I don't know how good he'd even be out of the bullpen with all this. It doesn't have any confidence.
Right, Zach, enough talking. You said too much now. Okay, so I guess we're all going for a Rays win tomorrow then. Really.
No, I'm not. I'm picking Stripling to go 5 innings.
Good man.
Sheldon, the only one who has the guts.
Yeah, I'm saying it right now. Stripling's going to pitch a game that we're all going to go, what the heck just happened? How did he pitch like this? It's going to be like the game he pitched it, before the start before yeah. And we're all going to be shaking our heads going, okay, well, maybe there's some potential here. And we'll all get caught up in the Stripling train. And then we realize that's his only start and he's going to the bullpen.
And Ross Stripling has done it. A perfect
I don't think I can make up another Stripling song though, if I'm honest. So,
I think the Jays are going to win probably 3-2 or 4-2. It's and it's going to be something where I'm going to say the offensive leader will be probably Danny Jansen. I'm really going out on a limb on this one, but I think
he's been drinking again, people.
Yeah, do you
Dude,
think Sheldon, do you think you're gonna be hung at 4 or 2?
I think he's hung right now.
I have been drinking. Okay, never mind. I finished it. That's okay.
It was probably spiked or drugged.
I'm sure there's a universe where that exists, that scenario exists, but I'm not sure it's this one, unfortunately.
It's not.
If I am right, you guys are wearing Yankee hats.
I'm on the show tomorrow. I'll give you all the props I have, man. If that ends up being the case,
I'll lick the toilet, and I'll you guys can put it on your story or whatever.
I won't go that far.
Zack's game. You should look at his TikTok. It's very interesting to say the least.
I mean, Zack literally just offered up that he would lick the toilet. Can we just talk? Are we just gonna skip over that?
I had a
Zack,
bet.
this is registered. This is registered. Like, you can't back out of this.
Oh yeah. I've licked the toilet before. I've lost bets and I've had to do that. I've made out with the toilet once.
It seems like Zack's go-to
proudly.
there is licking the toilet.
What can I say? I'm outgoing.
Damn.
Dear.
I would go outgoing to Strickling's funeral.
Jay, take us out.
Guys, we are literally running out of time, and I have to try and get this uploaded before 3 a.m.
Yeah, good luck, Jay.
Massive thanks to Zack, Rob, Sheldon, Cole. Big pleasure having you on first time. Hopefully we'll get you on again soon at some point. Guys, don't forget also to make sure you go over to YouTube, subscribe, like, follow, all that nonsense. Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you consume your podcasts. Make sure you check these guys out over on Blue Jay Center, Jays in 6. And I'll see you again, hopefully in the week when we have finally won a game again. That's it for now. Laters.
Later, guys.